ladies and gentlemen, Season 5 is here. That means, of course, Verdansk is, well, not returning, but we are getting Superstore back. I'm going to be playing through this, but we also have a new Resurgence Superstore mode. Some cool weapons that are coming this season, including the STG coming back. Some new weapons that will be coming, including the spear and a bow, a compound bow that can one-shot to the head. That'll be coming in mid-season, unfortunately. But I got a couple details from a creator call on Monday. They gave us a little bit of early insight into it, as well as, of course, we have all the patch notes now out. So I'm going to just give you a high-level overview of all of it. Likely upload this as a video afterwards. If you're watching that, make sure you give it a little like. Hope you're enjoying it. I am most excited for, though, on the entire thing, the Rebirth Island nuke skin is now going to be an animated one of these that looks way better than what we got in the first Nuke Rebirth for how difficult it was. They also are making it slightly easier, so if you're playing quads, it's going to be 30 seconds less each wave, so a minute 30 overall less time. They said they want it to be more competitive overall, towards the end of it, which should lead to more fights because more people will be alive. A lot of times the whole lobby was dead and you would just lose because the whole lobby died before you could even complete the nuke. Nonetheless, I got one of them in the last season, or in the first season they had it. I'm going to go for it again since we finally have a new reward. But let's talk about some of the high-level overviews here, starting with, first of all, redeploy drone beacons are here. These are replacing the personal redeploys that take you up. Instead, you throw these things onto the ground, and the whole squad can use them. They're also light, so you can throw them kind of far, which is actually pretty sick. And it'll let your whole squad redeploy instead of just you. It'll be obviously faster to put it out than what it was back in Verdansk when you have to set the balloon up right under your feet. It was very hard to use. Now, you can also shoot it out, the dev said, at the top where the drone is, but you can also shoot the bottom before the drone even comes in. So as soon as it gets thrown out, if you want to shut somebody down, shoot the bottom base of where that pad is, and it's going to be coming down. There's also a new event, which is kind of sick, bounty contest. So everybody in the lobby gets a bounty contract on somebody else in the lobby. And when you complete it, you get another bounty. So you could just keep on snowballing them. It lasts a little longer than normal. You can also buy the squad redeploys from the buy station, which I thought is pretty sick. Also, Resurgence, you can now buy specialist bonus. So it's no longer just limited to getting it through the trade station or the Easter egg, which is how I typically get it. So we're going to see a lot more of these, I think, on that map, especially for how easy it is to get that much cash. You just get the phone, whatever. Here's some of the timing breakdowns for the nuke being easier on Rebirth. It's only a 10-second difference in solos and in duos, so those will probably be still pretty hard to do. Of course, 30 seconds across the entire contract, which will help, but solo contract behavior as well. I thought this was a great thing. If you're already on a contract and you die in solos, with the Resurge feature that just instantly comes back, you'll keep your contract finally. Love that. 2 new weapons. I'm going to be testing these extensively today. The STG, an all-time classic, coming back in its new, more modern version of it. A lot of conversion kits. The coolest one to me sounds like the Morse sniper rifle, which will be made into a shotgun. They also were saying that this will knock back enemies when you shoot them. And, yeah, I don't know. So some highlights on the weapons then for the meta shifts. MCW is getting yet another buff. Small, but lower torso multiplier increase. I already really like this gun. SVA, damage range. Bal is getting a nice recoil improvements and a pretty decent damage range buff. I love this thing. As a sniper support, I'm going to be trying that out. Very eager to. M4 getting another decent buff as well for damage and range. This could be an interesting long-range one, although it's usually pretty slow. Bass B, TAC V, couple small buffs. AMR as well. Some slight nerfs, though, obviously, to the Superior and Horus. They're not that drastic. Actually, seems like the Horus is a little more nerfed than the Superior. This one's mostly just the movement speed. It's still going to kill very, very well. So I imagine this is still going to be pretty meta. Wasp 9, slight nerf, not much. But we're seeing a lot of improvements across the board to MW2 weapons, which is kind of nice to see. There's still not any of the recommended weapons, which is their meter for telling, like, oh, which guns are the most OP. These are the ones that they focus on the most. Of course, not all of them are necessarily meta, but they're typically better. These aren't in those categories, but obviously some classics I even went back and did some videos on. The P90 and the Vel MP7 Classics. Bruins getting a nice buff. This is also a reward for a blueprint they're doing this season, so I think they are going to want to make this one kind of decent. It's not that big of a range increase. Holger, small nerf, but again, a couple of these LMGs, some small buffs. They do a lot of these just super minor tweaks. Something that's not as minor, though, is the shotgun. The Reclaimer was actually, it was all right. It wasn't super great, but they upped the fire rate, so yeah, it's probably still going to be pretty negligible. Broadside's getting less recoil. It's not a super big factor. Anyway, they are minor. They are minor. I can't escape it. Handgun core is getting a slight nerf. They did mention changing some of the attachments for the pistols. The sledgehammer is getting a sizable nerf too. 20% movement decrease. The heavy attack range, massive decrease. Good thing we got our custom games done over in our Discord prior to this, so we could get the full effect of it. Now, they also mentioned some things inside of the blog post that were not in the patch notes. One of those being Supreme Resurgence. This is going to become a mid-season, so it's not necessarily out yet, but this was a old mode they had back in Warzone 1 where you could get basically all the ground loot is juiced out of its mind. You get crazy weapons, and there's also longer spawn timers, they said. It wasn't noted here, but they did say it in the call, and faster cooldown reductions. So it'll take you a longer period of time to actually come back, but if your team's doing good, getting kills, whatever, you'll come back even faster than normal. There's now elite contracts. Well, not now, but this is coming. These are golden contracts on the map that are going to be harder to complete, but if you can get it done, it guarantees advanced UAV, specialist bonus, redacted weapon, foresight, something juicy on it. They're also getting rid of the thing where you have to sit still. What is it? The UAV scan where you sit still. The stupidest thing where it just makes everybody camp and sit in a corner. They're basically flipping on its head. They're getting rid of that, and they're changing it to recon flyover. So these are going to be advanced UAV planes that are flying over, and if you're in the radius of them, it will ping you on advanced UAV for everybody in the lobby. So you need to move out of that area. So it will literally, the occupation scan. So it's the opposite of that. So you're going to have to, instead of going prone and not move, you are going to have to move to get away from the advanced UAV that's strafing over the map. If you get into the red rings that are flying over, you will be pinged. So I thought that is a great change. They're going to see what people think about it in the how often it actually happens. There's a lot of actually really cool multiplayer stuff they're doing. It looks like Verdansk, is getting some tweaks as well. Of course, that's just on mobile, unfortunately. But there's like a cool WWE mode. There's a paintball event that's going to be coming mid-season where it's one-shot kill. Paintballs, like proper paintball rules in Call of Duty. That sounds really cool. And some new art design stuff that they've been tweaking on some of the maps. So I kind of do want to get back into multiplayer a bit, especially since I've switched over to controller now, and I need to get some more experience in general. That could be fun to do. Even get some community games, get some of you guys in, see if we can dominate some lobbies together. They're also adding 2 sick new weapons. One of them is a spear. This you can throw. You have 3 of them. You throw it. It will skewer a player, and you can even stack multiple players. So you hit one, goes through another one, and then another one for a triple collat, and then the spear will go into a wall, and the bodies will be impaled on the wall. Looks sick. And on top of that, same thing is true for the bow that can one-shot headshot. These can chuck it or bow it, one-shot headshot, bow, boom. The harder you charge it, the faster the velocity, the stronger the strength. I think those actually sound like they're going to be pretty fun. We are definitely doing these as lobbies only with these weapons when they come out over on the Discord. But that's pretty much it, man. I mean, I've been saying this. It's like we're going to get the big juice, I think, for the new game launch. They're saving something big for that, I would assume at least, because apparently we're not going to be getting a new map. This is what's been leaked. We're not getting a new map for this new Call of Duty, which we pretty much mostly, usually have. Whether it was Caldera, Al Mazrah, Urzikstan, whenever the new COD drops, you usually get a new map. Not the case this time for big map. At least that's what it's looking like. We'll see what happens. But I'm guessing they're saving some of the bigger changes for that. Still, Super Store will be cool. We'll see what happens. Nonetheless, let's hop in on the day. If you guys enjoyed some of the overview, as always, give it a like, and good luck on the season.